Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another After Build Report from the Ambassador, Real Time Gunpla, whatever you want to call me, it's fine. Today we're going to be taking a look at this here Wargreymon from the Figurized Standard Amplified line. It is a Digimon. If you're into Digimons and you know what Digimans is, and you played the games or watched the shows or whatever it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was sort of the. I don't even know if you could call it the more adult Pokemon. Is that even really a thing? Either way, you have Digimon. And Bandai, in their great wisdom, has decided to release a line of model kits based in the Figurized line, although they're calling them Figurized Standard Amplified. And they have reimagined everybody's favorite Wargreymon. Wargreymon. I don't know if there's a favorite anything. He's just your favorite Wargreymon because he's the only one. But they have reimagined him into a much more modern, much more mean, sleek-looking guy here, and he is pretty great as a model kit. I don't know what else to say. A bunch of stuff, actually. So I tend to rate model kits based on a few criteria. One of them being build, whether or not I was actually engaged in the build, whether or not I found the build fun, whether or not I found the build to be something I would like to do again, given the chance. I also tend to grade these things on how they look straight out of the box. I do a little bit of customizing here and there, some custom paint jobs when the weather permits, which it is starting to get back into good painting weather. So look forward to some painted kits coming up soon. But I also judge these just like how they look out of the box and how posable and articulate they are, because that's a big factor, especially when you're dealing with kits that you're going to want to display, and you're going to want to get them into that cool, intimidating pose, and you're going to want to make these things look good on your shelf. You don't want them just standing there, basically T-posing or waiting for the bus or scratching their ass or whatever random pose you want. So that's another criteria that I grade these things on. And those are like the three big ones that I tend to grade most model kits on, depending on the type of model kit. I mean, some kits are going to get weighed heavier in other areas than certain other kits, but on the whole, those are the three areas that I like to rate on. So let's talk about area one first. That's the build of this kit. I gotta say, I actually really liked the build of this kit. It's very simple. It comes in a big box. It comes in like the same size box as, let's say, those old Master Grade style boxes, the ones that were the tall, skinny ones, not the big, flat, wide ones that we get these days. So it comes in a Master Grade size box about like that. It doesn't have that many runners in it, however, so it's not as intimidating as it first may seem when you're first getting it out of the box. But it is quite nice looking, once you get it together. So the few number of runners actually belies the complexity of the look of this kit and the layering that goes onto it. But we'll talk about that in a bit. But the build is actually very simple. Because this is a figure, it's not a Gundam, it's not a mobile suit, it's not a mecha of any sort. You don't have to worry about having an inner frame. You don't really have to worry too much about, having a lot of really small parts or anything like that. But what you do have is a lot of detail in here. So, for example, you've got, like these X's on the chest are all parts separated. The gray parts under here are actually part of the torso. You've got the two separate, the silver and the gray here on the claws. This nice translucent purple back here in the wings. And overall, like, it's a simplistic build, but not overly simplistic, but also not overly complex. And what you get out of it at the end of the day is a fairly good looking kit. Now, I have done a bit of extra work on this. I did panel line it. I did a little bit of coloring here and there. I hit some nub marks with some silver paint just to make it so that you can't see them as readily, because let's face it, this sort of silver plastic that has been used on this kit is very easy to scuff up. It's very easy to mark because it's basically black underneath. So when you cut it off the runners, you're going to get that black under there and really nasty looking nub marks. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this kit. Also, one of the things that I want to point out is that while it does look like there is a whole lot of minute part separation in here, there really isn't, but they hide it really well. And I think that's a big bonus in this kit's favor. So it's simple, but also fairly clever in how it all goes together. So, the next thing I want to talk about is how does it look out of the box? Well, this is how it looks out of the box, save for a couple of small things that I did. I took a brown panel liner and kind of went into the grooves of the muscles of the fleshy parts of the kits, like up here under the arms, down here on some of the leg parts as well. Simply to try and give it a little bit more of a 3D look there. I thought the orange just being flat gave it a bit of a... It just kind of gave it a bit of a 2D look that really wasn't what I was going for. There are a fair number of seam lines that you're going to want to clean up. Most notably, you've got one along the feet here, also along the sides of the legs. There's some up in the arms as well. You've also got them straight down the middle of the head. So you can see, some seam lines down through here in the inner thighs. They're not horrible. They could have been a lot worse. But they are some things that you're going to have to keep in mind if you are just really, 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 really wanting to make this as clean as possible. So, for example, you can kind of see one here on the shoulder. So there are a little bit of I don't want to say problems, but there are seam lines that you're going to have to clean up if you really want to get the absolute best look out of this kit. That orange, again, a little bit on the cartoonish side for me, for a kit that's supposed to be, more adult, leaning with the design and everything, but on the whole, I think that's fine. You can kind of work with that. If you actually take the orange parts, I think spray them with a good matte coat. I think that would look really nice. I may actually take this apart and do that on these just to see how that looks. I think it will end up being really, really nice there. Another couple of things to keep in mind. There are a fair number of stickers on this kit. On the backpack, you can see all of the white areas there. Those are stickers. They go on fairly well. They got nice grooves they can go in. Painting that would not be a problem. There are also stickers for the eyes up under the helmet. Again, painting that would not be too much of an issue if you're good with painting eyes. And the only other notable stickers are the red up on those shoulder spikes, which are a little bit annoying to get in. They don't fully cover where you would like them to on the shoulders because they don't wrap all the way around on the sides. But from a distance, nobody's going to be able to notice that, and they are going to look fairly nice. So it's not bad. There's some stickers, but it could have been a whole lot worse. There is good color separation on the chest with the cross hatching there on the X's. Again, on the back of the legs with the pipes and the tubing to keeping those metal pieces on. I really like the translucent purple that is on the wings that you can see there. It's really nice. It looks really good right out of the box if you put the stickers on. I think painting it would go a long ways. I definitely am considering painting this one up, but I probably won't just because I'm not that big of a Digimon fan. So leaving it the way it is, I think, is perfectly fine for me. This is probably going to go up on a shelf somewhere, not with the rest of my Gunpla collection, simply because it's not a Gunpla and I'm not a huge fan of Digimon. So that brings us to number 3, and this is where I'm going to have to score this thing a little on the low side, and that is how articulate is it? How easy is it to get into a pose that you want to display it in? The answer is not very. It doesn't move all that much. You got double hinged knees, but they don't really give you a lot of articulation. You've got double hinged elbows, but they are not going to give you much either. The shoulders are very, very tight and don't go up very far at all. They do have a bicep swivel, which is fine, but it's not fantastic. The shoulders are really tight, so they're not going to droop on you, which is good because with those claws on the forearms, that's going to give you a lot of weight there that you're going to really want to watch out for when posing this thing, but at least the shoulders aren't going to droop on you, at least on mine. The wings are really nice, or the shield back here. It's very, very well articulated. It can split out in 3 different sections and sort of spread out a little bit. They're on ball pegs, but you don't really get a lot of movement out of them. So a little bit of rotation, a little bit of tilt, but not very much because of how close those ball pegs are to the back of the kit. You can take those off and mount them onto the forearms. I didn't do that. I see no reason to do that. I've got these big claws on the forearms, and that's where they're going to stay. So yeah, all in all, you're not going to get a lot of really great poses out of this. It's got a waist swivel, but not much of an ab crunch unless you really pull that ball peg or that ball joint out of the polycap that's in the waist, which is a little bit too loose for my taste. It comes out a little bit too easy, so when you're trying to pose it, you may think, oh, this is a cool pose, but what you've really got is a kit that's about to be, half fallen apart. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Really, though, this kit is actually, it looks good in, whatever pose you can get it into, so you're not going to worry about it getting into a really goofy pose, but unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get it into any massively fantastic pose either. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about buying this kit. That's where that's at. Now, overall feelings. Despite the limited articulation, I really like this kit. I think it would look fantastic with some two-tone painting on the yellows. I think the orange needs to be given a bit of a matte coat, maybe a flat top coat. I really, really like a lot of the detailing on this. I think there's a lot of good to be said about this kit. However, if you're not a Digimon fan, you're probably not going to get much out of it. But if you are a Digimon fan, and if you are a fan of Wargreymon, this is probably the best representation of Wargreymon that has existed so far in a model kit form. I don't know if there are figures out there, but this is by far the best of the Wargreymon model kits I've ever seen. I think there was an older one. I'll have to research that. If this is the only one, then by far the best model kit version of Wargreymon. But if it's not the only one, well, I apologize for that. But anyways, so yeah, I'm going to give this 17 digital monsters out of 33. That is in no way indicative of what my actual feelings of it are. I actually really like this a lot. But I just like to make up scores because scores are pointless, and I think opinions matter a lot more than scores. So yeah, there you go. I hope you guys enjoy this review. I hope you subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter. Keep an eye out for more live streams that I'm going to be doing, and I'm trying to improve all the time. So if you got any, criticisms or constructive comments that you can leave to help better the channel, short of me taking like speech lessons or public speaking lessons, that's not going to happen. I'm just going to tell you straight as it is. Like, this is how I talk. But, I'm trying to improve my camera shots and, all of that good stuff. So if you have any, lighting tricks or anything like that, let me know in the comments or hit me up in a message, and I will take that to heart and research it and see if it works for me. But there you have it, folks. So until next time, thank you very much, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Peace.